Hey, hello. Hi guys, welcome to the stream. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, fine. So today we are at part 5, right? Yes, this is part 5. And today we'll be continuing the module milestone 3. Okay, we did part 4 in milestone 3. We did the JUnits of task repo and service classes. Today we'll be looking at the controllers. Okay, so let me do a quick overview of what we are doing for those who are new to the stream. Okay, then we'll go from there. So we are trying to make a to-do kind of app. Like you see this is the Microsoft to-do application. We are trying to make something like this, build something like this using Spring Boot and React.js. Okay, and at the end of the task, we will be containerizing that application, and we will be deploying it to Google Cloud Run and GitHub pages. Okay, so this is the full idea of the application. And so far we have completed 2 modules. The backend project setup was done in module 1, and then we created all the REST endpoints required for the backend, and then we started creating the JUnits. Okay, the third module actually covers JUnit and global error handling. We have completed JUnit for 2 of the services. Okay, for the 2 layers actually, for the repository layer and the service layer. We have to now create JUnits for the controller layer as well. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in this part. Okay, so a little housekeeping. Those who are on the vertical video stream, like in the YouTube app, you can switch to the full screen stream if you want. And those who are in the full screen one, if you feel comfortable watching it in the mobile phone, you can just go to your YouTube application, search for the Fastorial channel, and there if you hit on the Fastorial icon, you will get the live feed immediately in vertical. Okay, and good news, we just crossed 600 subscribers today. It's a kind of a huge milestone. We have been crossing very fast the milestones. So now we are 611 when I'm doing the stream, if I see at my channel page. So the sub goal for this month maybe 650. Okay, so let's target 650 subscribers. And if you guys have any suggestions or feedback how we can improve the stream and things like that, just drop it in the chat. Okay, fine. So with that, let's start today's task. Okay, so what we are going to do is, the task controller is there, right? Let me make this bigger and enable word wrap. So we have the task controller where we wrote the endpoints like API tasks, and for getting a task by ID, and then updating a task by ID, things like that. All of this we wrote, right? So what we are going to try now is, we are going to write test cases to test these endpoints. So if somebody runs this, so how did we test this? We called it from Bruno, right? The HTTP client called Bruno. So today what we are going to do is, we are going to do the same thing from the Spring Boot test itself. Okay, we'll be using the JUnit framework to run the tests, and then there are some annotations to run these HTTP based tests apparently. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one, because testing is always interesting to me. It just makes sure that your code is robust and it never fails. Okay, so if at all it fails, you'll immediately know that the test case fails, and you know that, okay, some code that you changed is breaking the thing. Okay, so you can immediately fix it also. Okay, so I actually checked with ChatGPT what to do, and tip for Indian users, ChatGPT Go is free now. You can claim ChatGPT Go for 1 year. Only thing is, you have to either give your credit card information or like a UPI information. They just charge 1 rupee out of it, and then you can have it for 1 year for free. Okay, so I claimed it. Now I am in ChatGPT Go variant, and you can see I have ChatGPT 5 now. Okay, so we'll be using this. Till now I was using Perplexity, which actually I paid to get it, and then I got this for free. Okay, so I'll be using this. Okay, so what they I did some research, and what it says is that you have to, where is it? Okay, so you have to use something called as @SpringBootTest, okay, on your test class, and then you have to do a auto configure MockMvc. Okay, so apparently we need to use something called as MockMvc to mock our controller based application with the REST calls and all. Okay, so here inside the MockMvc, I mean inside the test class, again you have like test create user, and okay, so this is showing a create user, like a user kind of thing. So I didn't want to get the whole answer from ChatGPT itself, so I just asked it like a sample question. So it showed like how user creations can be tested and all. So we'll be doing the same mapping for our to-do list creations. Okay, so let's start this. Let me start by going here to package explorer. Okay, in here under src main test, where is it? Oh, sorry, src test java. I will create a new class and I'll put it under the controller package. Okay, because we are writing test classes for controller, and I'll say test task controller. Okay, this will be my class name. Let me create it. Okay, so we have this, and then I showed the two important annotations, right? The SpringBootTest and the auto configure MockMvc. I'll add that. Okay, so after I code, I will explain in detail what each annotation is for. Okay, so now let's start it, because it will be easier to understand what is happening when you look at the code. Okay, let me maximize this, and inside this you need to autowire two dependencies. Okay, so I'll add that. Okay, so command shift O or control shift O to organize imports in Eclipse or STS. I just did that and imported. So this MockMvc is for mocking the MVC itself, like the model view controller. That is the one which gives us the REST calls mocking. Okay, and then this object mapper is used because our responses will be in JSON format, right? So I am making I need the object mapper in order to make sure that the JSON response has the expected elements. Okay, fine. So that is done. Then the first test case I'll write is test create to do. Okay, so it will be test create to do, and I'll import that also. Okay, so in here, what do we do? Why is this not? Okay, fine. So in here, so this is there, and then I don't know why. What is the point of this new user? It's not being used anywhere. Oh, so okay. So to the API users, they are sending the object as JSON. Okay, and then they are making sure that the status is okay and the response has all this. Interesting. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so yesterday we created a simple class, helper function to create the mock object. So this one, right, get sample task. Okay, I'll take this, and what I'll do is I'll go back here to controller and I'll paste it here. Okay, and one thing, if I go to controller, the object that our controller takes is of the form task request. Okay, it's not the task object itself. It's this task request is a DTO object. Okay, which will be used by the controller. So I will create this task request object, not the task itself. So I'll just make some small changes to this. So task request equal to new task request. Okay, and then task request doesn't have this created and updated at, so I'll delete it. And then this return type will also be task request. Okay, oops, I changed the wrong class. Undo. Okay, I'll close this repo class. In my controller I have to do this. Okay, task request equal to new task request. Okay, and it won't have this created at. Okay, created at, what did I delete? Due date I can have, created at and updated at I'll delete. Okay, so this will be get sample task request. Okay, and I will refactor this sample task also. It's Alt Shift R to refactor in Windows, or Option Shift R in Mac. Okay, so sample task request. Okay, I refactor that also, just to make it look neater. Okay, now here I'll create the task request object, okay, equals get sample task request. Okay, so I just created a helper function to get this task request object. Okay, now in the next line we have to call this. So we are using the MockMvc to perform the operation. Okay, so what operation should we do? So if I go back to my task controller, for creating a task, what is the operation? It is /API/tasks. Okay, so I'll call that perform post of /API/tasks. Is it tasks or task? Tasks. Okay, so it's /tasks. Fine. Now let me import the things. Is it perform? Oh, I should call mockmvc.perform. mockmvc.perform. Okay, fine. So we just made the REST call here, and then what should we do? Then we should set the content type. Okay, and then pass the content as ObjectMapper.write value as string. So these are kind of boilerplate. We have to just understand it. Okay, so first let me set the content type. So dot set. Oops. How do I set the content type? Oh, it's content dot content type dot content. Hey, that's also failing. So is it inside post? It's inside post. Okay, sorry. So if I do this inside post dot content type, okay, so I'll do media type dot application JSON. Okay, I have set the content type. This is mandatory. If you don't set this up, it will fail. Actually, the request will say that media type is mismatching. Okay, then we have to set the content itself. And how do I do that? There was this option, right? ObjectMapper.write value as string, and then pass the object. So this ObjectMapper which we created here, right? This. Okay, dot write value as string, and then let's pass the request object itself. Fine. So what this will do is this will convert our actual Pojo Java object into JSON format. Okay, and it will pass it as a string, which is what the request actually takes. Okay, and what next? Okay, nice. So with this we have built the request part. Now we have to expect the response part. Okay, so let me do that. So and what is it? And expect, right? I think that will be, that will be inside the perform. Okay, so these two lines are of the post. Okay, so the request part is done here. So I'll close this. Okay, and now the and expect comes in. Okay, so and expect. Okay, what is and expect? Status to be okay. Now where did the status come? Interesting. Maybe this perform itself. No. Okay, let's see what is status. Where did it come from? Dot okay is okay. Okay, this bracket is extra. Okay, fine. Now my doubt is, where did this status dot is okay come from? So and expect is taking a ResultMatcher object. Okay, I don't know what that does. Anyway, so I think it's part of this perform. So when you do perform, it is allowing us to fetch the status of the performed operation. Okay, so first thing I am expecting that the status should be okay. I hope it is okay only. No, it is 201. Okay, so it's not okay. So it should be status should be something else. There is a is 2xx successful. Okay, maybe there should be there is an is created, which probably checks 201, right? See here. So this is created, make sure that the status code is 201. So we'll use that. Okay, and then and expect again, but this time we have to expect the content. Okay, so the contents media type is the first thing we are checking. Okay, so we are making sure that content dot media type. Why is this failing? Okay, dot media what was that? Okay, content type, sorry, content type. Okay, is media type dot JSON, application JSON. Okay, fine. I'm pretty sure I imported the wrong media type. Let me remove that. Where is it? This is the media type. Yeah, that was correct. Then why is it failing? Okay, let me see what went wrong. And expect content type media type dot application JSON. Okay, that's what I wrote. Okay, what is this? It says the method and expect of ResultMatcher in the type reselection is not applicable for the arguments RequestMatcher. Okay. Okay, I don't know what's wrong there. For now, I'll just comment it out. We'll see that later. Okay, so I'll do the next and expect dot and expect. Okay, now we are going to check the body. Okay, so I'll copy this and we are checking it like this. Fine, one extra bracket came. Okay, so for us in the body, what did we get? Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll open Bruno. Where is Bruno? You know what, Bruno is not needed. I'll just do with our normal object itself. Okay, so in our body we'll get a task DTO. Okay, so I'll open this task DTO and it has ID, title, description, all of this, right? So let me just make sure that the title is matching. Just I'll do that. Okay, so I'll do $.title matches this value. So here in my sample request, when I built the sample request, I set the title as study Spring Boot, right? So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. So I'll just make sure that whatever we sent in is coming back. Okay, so I'll just stop it here. Let's make sure everything works fine. Then we'll come back and write the remaining test cases. Okay, so let me run this. Where is task create to do, run as JUnit test, and I think it will fail. No, it didn't fail. It did fail. So why did it fail? Let me see if it failed because of the reason I thought. Oh my god, there's so much error. This is correct. So mydb.mb.db. Okay, so I think it's because for tests to run, you have to provide a database to this test package. Okay, so what we did in src main, right? Where is src main? In src main resources, we gave an application.property. Okay, so similarly in src test resources also, we have to give an application.properties file, which says what is the DB details that needs to be used for testing. Okay, so what I'll do, I will copy this whole application property file. This we created in like part 1 when we did the setup. Okay, so that I'll paste it. I have to actually paste it in src test java. Okay, so I'll paste it. I'll paste it here itself. Okay, so I'll create a new folder. How do I create a new folder? I have to view it in flat level or hierarchy level. No. Okay, I'll rather do it from command line. That is easier. Okay, so cd codes. This is just copy pasting stuff. Okay, so codes. What is it? To do task. Task tracker. Inside the task tracker project, there is backend folder. Inside the backend, I'll go to C. I'll make a folder called in src cd test src test resources, right? Let me check the package. src main resources, we need src test resources, src test resources. Okay, so inside backend src test, I just added a folder called resources, and inside resources I will copy everything from main java resources. Is it like resource main resources? Okay, application.properties, I'll copy it here. Okay, so if I see now inside my src test resources, I copied application.properties. Fine. So let me go back here and refresh this. Okay, I got src test resources here. Okay, let me close the main resources property. So this is the src test resources property. Okay, you can see it here on the top. src test resources application.property. So inside this, I will simply use a h2 memory db. Okay, and so if you remember, for the main we are persisting the db inside a db file, but for this I'll just use a memory db, in memory db. Okay, so I'll just ask how to, or like JDBC URL for h2 in memory db. Okay, so this is the syntax. I'll copy this and I'll paste it here. Okay, so I'll call it my db. Fine. So this db will be creating in the RAM of the JVM. Okay, so which means that if the JVM shuts down, if the system goes down, it will simply delete the db, because this is test, right? We don't care about it. Okay, so everything else is the same. Okay, now let's run it. Okay, I'll run this again. Right click, run as JUnit test. Hopefully it should work. Yeah, it worked. It's awesome. Okay, so you see test create to do passed. Okay, so now what we did is we did an actual proper end-to-end testing. This is called end-to-end testing. So anytime you start an application and test the endpoints, right? That is called an end-to-end testing. There are various ways you can do end-to-end testing. You can even write like Selenium. If you guys have heard Selenium, that is an end-to-end testing framework. Cypress, Selenium, in Python there is Puppet. All these are all these test an application that is running, so they are called end-to-end testing. Fine. I mean, I don't know the specific like exact definition at all, but if you test an live endpoint, it's called endpoint test, end-to-end testing. Okay, and in here we actually did a post request and tested whether that request is returning an actual a proper response. Fine. So let me now explain what we did so far. Okay, because I was not explaining initially, I was just writing the code. Okay, so we actually created two autowire objects. So what are autowire objects? Autowire objects are called as beans in Spring Boot, which are actually beans means simply think of Spring Boot manages those classes. Okay, you need not create. So I didn't create like equal to new MockMvc, like how we usually do, right? I never initialized this. Okay, if you see here below, I never initialized it anywhere, this MockMvc. Then how did it create an object? So according to this, it should have been null and it should have failed, right? But then how did it work? It's simply because Spring Boot initialized that object for me. Okay, so that object or bean for me. So similarly, Spring Boot initialized two objects for me, the MockMvc object and the ObjectMapper object. Now what is the point of MockMvc object? It is used to mock the MVC layer, or like the MVC architecture of Spring Boot. So MVC means model view controller, which is like a HTTP web application. Okay, so you created a web application and then you are performing actual HTTP requests on the application. Okay, so we made a post request to the API tasks endpoint, which is the one which we created here. We created a controller called API tasks. Okay, in the previous parts we created that, and then we are actually testing that endpoint. Okay, so this is the very important thing, that we are making a call to API tasks. And if you see the yesterday's part 4, we didn't make any calls to the endpoint per se. So let's say in your live environment tomorrow, you are going to deploy your application. The unit tests will pass, whatever we wrote yesterday. The repository layer and service layer will pass. But what if the endpoints don't pass? Then there is no point of writing all this code, right? So we have to do this end-to-end testing. So now we know that if somebody calls this endpoint, it is supposed to give this output. It will give a JSON response where the title is study Spring Boot. Okay, now we can write extra validation also, like we can validate whether the description is correct, whether the priority is correct. All of this we can validate. Okay, fine. So what we'll do now, I'll write those extra things also, and before that I want to see why this failed. Okay, let me see. So it says here and expect is undefined for the type RequestMatcher. Okay, so I'll just say that to ChatGPT, this is failing. Why? Okay. Okay, it thought that my... Okay, it says here content type compatible with, and then this. No, this is not I want. This is not the error as well. So I think it didn't understand my error. Okay, so I'll go back and I'll say that it's creating a result matcher. No, it is creating a result matcher instead. Oh, sorry, it is creating a request matcher, I guess. Correct. It's creating a request matcher instead of a result matcher. So it's creating a result matcher, request matcher instead of a matcher. That is my issue. Okay, this happens when you accidentally import the wrong content method. Okay, so there are two types of content methods. There is one in MockMvc ResultMatcher, then there is one in MockMvc request builders. Okay, which this is the wrong one. So actually, and expect will refer to the content. Actually, we have to so why? Because here I had a content function, right? Let me do one thing. Let me check this. Where did it import it? Okay, see, there is only one import, mock rest request matches dot content. So if I remove this import, I remove that import. Okay, two things will fail, right? No, this only one fail. Okay, so if I import this, I just imported one item. Let me import the one that is there in ChatGPT. Okay, did it pass now? Still no. Hey, what is this? Method and expect of result matcher is undefined for the type result matcher. Okay, so that is correct, right? Why is it failing? Should I give this? Let me try this. Okay, no dice. Let me see. Let me give this whole thing. And where are my imports? Okay. I'll give all the inputs. Why fail? Look carefully. Okay, you are missing a parenthesis. What? Oh, did I? Okay, content type compatible with. Yes, I did. Okay, so it was not at all a Spring Boot problem, it was my problem. Okay, fine. So this also I'll change, I'll leave it like this. Okay, so now let me run the test case again. Okay, if I go back to this, the result is passed. Okay, test case passed. Cool. Okay, so let's just add the remaining items also. Okay, so what is next? Next is description. Okay, so and oops, why it's not working? This, oh come on, why is this not working now? Oh, I need to put one more bracket here. Okay, 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 dot and expect again JSON path, oops, path, and I'll give $dot description. Okay, so where did I get this description from? It's from the task DTO. Okay, in the task DTO, after title it is just description, right? So that is where I got it from, and that should be equal to this description, study from Fastorial. Okay, fine. And why is that failing? Oh, I didn't say dot value. Okay, dot value, study from Fastorial. Okay, okay, next is what? Next, priority and status. Let's check that also. Dot and expect JSON path $dot. Okay, so for priority, what is the DTO object? It is priority. Okay, I'll just copy it as it is. Priority dot value is so we are setting priority dot high here, which is an enumerator, so that will get converted into a string actually. So I'll just write high. Okay, this conversion happens as part of the HTTP request itself. Okay, this is nothing I'm manually doing, no manual conversions, fine. And then dot and expect JSON path $dot status. Okay, where did status come from? It came from here. Okay, status I am making sure that its value is, so here it is to do, right? To do, status dot to do. So the same thing should be written here. Okay, what's next? Due date. So this is going to be a little complicated because we are setting the system current time in millis, right? So the time it gets created versus the time we expect something, right? That time will be different. So I can't just simply check now here. Okay, so let's say this is getting created at, what's the time? 10:35, like 45 seconds. Okay, when I, let's say, run this here and set what is due dates thing here. Okay, due date. Okay, due date, I'm checking whether it is like 10:35:45. Okay, but it won't be 10:35:45. I can't hard code it here. I have to do like the system.now or something, but by the time it might become 46, right? It will change milliseconds. So how to do this is we have to set the time in the beginning itself. Okay, this is going to be a little complicated. Okay, what I'll do is I'll create one more object. I'll first thing I'll show what is going wrong, then I'll show you guys. Okay, so I'll remove this and let me run this test case. Okay, only one item should fail. Okay, so if you see here, it says due date expected was 10:35:46, but we got this huge timestamp, right? Like 4/11/2025 today, and then 17:06:58. So 17 is like 5 o'clock, but why we got 5 o'clock is because it's showing in UTC plus 0, like the 0th time zone, but I am in like plus 5:30. I'm in India, right? So it didn't match with whatever I gave here. Okay, now let's see how we can convert system dot current time in millis. Okay, or like, okay, let me take that. How do I check there will be a place where I can check the error, no? Okay, I'll copy this. I'll go here and I'll ask our trusty ChatGPT. Okay, so my question is how to convert long timestamp into string like this. Okay, this will be my question. So blah 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 blah. You can use Java's modern Java.time API. Okay, fine. So what I'll change is, oh my god. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, let's write it anyway. So I will write a helper function. Okay, I'll create a util package where I'll write helper functions. Okay, inside to do in src. Okay, so to do in the main, I'll create a class called helper functions. Okay, or like util, I'll call it util. No, okay, I'll call it helper functions. Yeah, the dilemma of forming names. Okay, so inside the util package, I create helper functions. Okay, and in here I'll copy paste what our ChatGPT said. Okay, so this is just what do you say, boilerplate stuff. Okay, so I'll create a public static. Did I copy the function name? No, I didn't. So public static string, and the string will be the timestamp as string. Okay, and in here I'll pass the long timestamp. Fine, and I'll remove this. So anybody will pass this timestamp as a long value, and I'll get the response as output, I mean string. Okay, so I'll delete this and I'll return the formatted value. Okay, okay, now I can go back here. Where is it? Task controller, and let's do this. So here I'm passing system.currentTime in millis, right? So what would you ideally think that I'll just do? Helper functions dot timestamp as string, and then I'll pass system.currentTime in millis. Okay, so this helper function is going to convert the current time. Okay, current time in millis gives a long value. Okay, this is like a long timestamp. I'll convert it into a timestamp in the format that I want. You saw here, right? In this format, like year, date, time zone, and then millisecond, all of this stuff. Okay, fine. So now let me run the test case, and I'm pretty sure it will fail. Okay, fine. So it failed again. Now if you see the test, it didn't fail because of like crazy things. So what it failed is the date and all is same, 17:0:10:45, but you see the milliseconds changed. So 17:10:45, and then it is 683. Okay, but here if you see it is 579. So that like 100 milliseconds changed, so our test case failed. So how do we fix these kind of tests is, we have to pass the timestamp as a single item in the beginning itself and expect that. Okay, so what I'll do is, where is it? Okay, so I'll create one more polymorphed function here, which takes in nothing. Okay, so long time. Okay, I'll say due date timestamp. Okay, and if nobody passes a value for timestamp, I'll simply say get sample. So this is classic overloading function. Okay, so I'll just say system.currentTime in millis. Okay, so if at all like before you wanted to simply call this function get sample task request, it will just create a sample task with deadline as the current time. If not, we have to pass this timestamp here. Okay, Okay, might be confusing. If it is confusing, just drop it in the chat. I'll explain it again. Okay, now what I'll do here is when when the test starts itself, I'll create a long due date timestamp equals system dot current time in millis. Okay, and I'll copy this and I'll pass it here. Okay, and in this test case also I will pass the same timestamp. Okay, so now what happens is, in the request object, whatever timestamp is there, it is the same timestamp that will be in the response object also, because I am using the same long value in the request and the response. Okay, so that is what will happen. Now let's see, it should pass. Okay, didn't pass. Let's see what happened. Don't say that also created like a small delay. So it says 9:268. Okay, so our microseconds matched now. So you see 9.268z, but here it is 9.268 plus 00. Okay, so what is this plus 00? It is the time zone. Okay, so it is UTC plus 0. But then for us, the time zone is coming just like Z. Okay, so I have to change that. So ChatGPT is the culprit here. Let me so they gave instance of timestamp, then zone offset UTC, and format it to ISO offset date time. Oh, it is supposed to format like this only. Okay, so this plus and timestamp is there, but we didn't get that. I have no idea why. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. Okay, I'll just say that. I'll just say the error as it is. Okay, I'll just say I expected with Z. So I don't want this plus 00. So that was a invalid function that ChatGPT created. Okay, so let's say that, and it should fix it. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Nobody cares. So it is saying use date time formatter.iso instant. This will format with a Z suffix instead of plus 00. Okay, so where is that? Date formatter.iso instant. Should I change it here? This one, ISO instant. Let's try our test case now. Yeah, still failed. Okay, let's copy whatever this thing said. Copy. Okay, it did something which I don't care. This is just a helper function. Yeah. No, it didn't give Z. Option 2, keep plus 00 but change your test expectation. No, I can't change my test expectation. Compare instance instead of strings. No, I don't want to do that also. So it's saying nope. Okay, it says here that it will create with Z only, right? Then why is it not creating in our time? Expected with Z but was plus 00 again. Why? Okay, I'll just say this still produces what is the still produces where my test case. Copy, erase everything else. This, right? It still produces with 00. This shouldn't happen under, because if you're seeing plus, that means you're not actually using ISO, but rather no, I'm not. Okay, I'll show my code itself to it. This is 100% correct. No, it's not. Here's things happening. So you're not calling the exact methods in your output. No, I am. Something like Jackson serialization, database mapping, or conversion to offset datetime is being used when your object is turned into JSON. Okay. Yeah, let me print this and see. I just need to print formatted, right? Okay, run the test case again. Okay, let's see output. Oi, it printed a lot of stuff. Let's just say okay. Oh yeah, it didn't do that. So this did correctly. Okay, now what happened here in my test case? Expected Z, but was, am I hallucinating? So it is expecting Z, but the actual value was plus 0, 0, which means that I should generate with plus 0, 0, which was what I was first generating, right? Then why did that fail? Okay, let me undo. Okay, this one, no, this one, right? So let me print this and see. Okay, let's see that. Oh, this was the issue. So here, even though we wanted with plus 0, 0, it kept creating with Z. So ISO offset datetime was supposed to create with this plus format, but it didn't. Okay. Okay, so I'm confused it. Okay, got it. So what do we do? Okay, I'll just say never mind, I want it in plus 0, 0 format, but this code doesn't do that. Not the Z. Okay, almost perfect. The only reason is because of how this handles use UTC. So when the offset is 0, it can still print Z instead of 0. So let's fix it. So it always prints 0. Oh, okay. So this thing's behavior is if Prince Pandey, hello sir, can I ask you something? Yes, sure. Okay, so this thing ISO offset datetime apparently, this can print Z instead of 0, 0. So maybe if it's a different timestamp, it might print the actual like 1Z or something. But for Z, it is printing Z itself. Okay, so how to fix that? Let's, yeah, nobody cares. Just copy this. Okay, I'll copy this. Okay. So it is doing this XX format, which will apparently print the Z, I guess. Let's try it. Okay, let's see the test case. No. No. It is still giving Z. No, it is not giving 0. It is giving Z. It is not doing that. Nope. I still get. Okay, let me copy this timestamp as string, right? Yes. Okay, BCA is good degree I am planning to do for master abroad. This is good for BTech, or good or BTech you mean. So BCA, BTech, I mean, I'm not an expert in these things. What I did is BTech only. So I can guarantee BTech is what, most companies expect in India at least. Like BTech and MTech degrees, not the CA, BCA or MCA. So I would suggest you go with that unless you have like a strong reason why you want BCA. Do you have any reason why you want to go with BCA? Okay. So let's see what's going on here. What did ChatGPT say? Perfect. You are now very specific, subtle, blah blah blah. You're 100% correct. Should print plus but if you say blah 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 blah. You're saying blah blah blah. Guaranteed fix. Okay. Let's see what the guaranteed fix is saying. Why is this so complicated? I thought this was like supposed to be simple. No, my God. No, it's saying that it will print plus 0 0. No, it is not printing plus 0 0. Control FV. See, it's printing with Z again. So what is wrong with you? Let me just JDK work. Okay. What? It's saying to put 5x's. Okay. Please say that this works. Oh, it did work. Okay. Oh my God. So this 5x is what was the issue? Okay. So let me note it down here. Note. This should be mandatory 5x's. Otherwise, you will get Z appended instead of 0.00. Okay. Okay, that was a slight deviation from what we were doing, but this can happen anytime. Okay. So we are happy that we wrote a helper function now which converts timestamp into this pattern. Okay. So I'll just write this down here. Okay. This will be useful for people who come in here later. Okay. Converts long timestamp into the format this. Okay. Timestamp into the format. So I can even say created using functions like link system hash current time millis. Okay, fine. So this is how you write Java doc if anybody is confused with that. So if you see here, I wrote like this: convert log step created using functions like Java system.current time millis into the format. This format. Okay, so if I click the system.current time millis, it will go to the Java doc of that, what that does. Okay, if you guys have questions with that, you can ask that also. Okay, so finally we finished creating due date. Okay, so whatever we sent in, we know damn sure that is what is going to come back. Okay, so I think we have been running for like 45 minutes at least. Let me see. 58 minutes, almost an hour. Okay, so we'll take a small 10 minutes break and then we'll come back and continue with the rest of the test case. Okay, now that we wrote one test case, we can create the rest of them. What is next? The get test case, the get all, find all test case, delete, and update. Okay, so update also, there are two updates: update the whole thing or update just the status. Okay, so we will go through all of that. Okay, fine guys, let's see shortly. Okay, welcome back from the break. So quick recap, we did the test cases for creating a to-do application. Okay, next we'll continue with the rest of the test cases. Okay, we are doing the controller tests. Okay, so let me do a quick reference of the repo class. Okay, so we tested task creation. Okay, then we tested task deletion. Okay, so let's do that next. Okay, so if I go to controller class now, where is the delete function? Put patch delete. Okay, this is the delete function, right? So how are we doing the delete? We are deleting by ID, and then if the deletion happens, we are returning a 204. Okay, and the response is actually the deleted data. Okay, okay, so this is what we are going to do now for the delete. Okay, so let me go to test task controller, test task controller. Okay, and in here let me write one for, let me copy this. Okay, so test delete to do. Fine. Okay, so here also let me just write the architecture or the overview here. Okay, so we'll start with build a task object. Okay, delete the task object, and then expect a 204 status code. Okay, so I hope it's 204. Yeah, it's 204. Okay, okay, so let's go. So build a task object. So in here we will do the same thing that we did here, right? So I don't need to do due date timestamp now, because timestamp we are not going to compare for a deleted object. Okay, I'll just check if the title is same. Okay, because timestamp is too verbose. Fine. So I created a request object, and you see I didn't give timestamp here, which means that by default it will take the current timestamp. So that was the point of polymorphism which I did earlier. Okay, now MockMvc dot perform. Okay, and this time it is a delete call, right? Delete call, and in here I will give /API /tasks. Okay, and then what is the next thing? And then I have to give the ID. Okay, so if I have to delete something, I have to create something, right? So let me create something first. How do I do that? Okay, I'll do with this itself. I have to do post, but this is going to be little tough for me. Let me think. Is there sorry, is there a way to return something? Oh, there is a return, and return dot get response. Okay, dot oh, there is get content as string. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I will try to return the created object from here, so that I can call that test here and have an item created easily. That is my idea. But I don't know if it will work, because first of all this test case shouldn't have return types is what I'm guessing. Okay, just let's do that. Okay, I'll simply return. Okay, I'll not do all of this. Okay, I'll simply return this, and I'll set that as the return type. Okay, and I just want to make sure that if I add a return type, can I run it as a test case or not? Oh, I still can run it. Okay, Hi, Hassam, software engineer from Balochistan, Quetta. Hi, hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so let me do that then. I will build a task. So what does the task creation give? A task creation gives a task DTO, right? I'll try to build a task DTO out of this thing, okay? So let's ask how to do that. Works. No, okay, leave that. I'll just say MockMvc.perform. How do I build a DTO object out of the response? Blah 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 blah. Okay, so it just says dot and return. Okay. Okay, that is that returns a MockMvc result, and then you have to probably convert that result. Okay, so this is the thing that I was also looking at, right? So get response that get content as string, and then you have to pass it through ObjectMapper.read value. Okay, so this is what we want. Fine. So instead of it doing all that stuff, I'll just say, sorry, nice reaching. Okay, dot response and return dot response dot string, get content as string. Okay, this I will store it to JSON response. Okay, JSON string response. Fine. So now I got the response body which we saw in Bruno, right? I got it here in this object. Now I will convert that into a task DTO. What is it called? This task DTO object. Okay, I'll convert it into that. So how to do that? It's apparently ObjectMapper.read value and then pass the string and then the expected class. So I'll do ObjectMapper dot read from value. What is it called? Read value, sorry, read value. Okay, then I'll pass the actual string and then I'll convert it to task DTO dot class. Okay, now this should give me the response object. Okay, so response task object actually. Okay, then I'll return this. Okay, and I'll change the return type of the method to task DTO. Okay, fine. So now if at all I call task test create to do, it should return me task DTO is my expectation. Okay, let's try that. So I'll go here. Okay, and instead of doing this, correct, instead of doing this request object, I'll just create the task DTO object. Okay, so this will be created task. Okay, I created a task using test create to do. Fine. So I use the first function in my second function now. Now here I'll call API task then slash, and you have to give the ID, right? I'll do create a task dot get ID. Cool. So we will be able to delete a created object now. Okay, fine. Now there's an extra bracket. No, what was the error? There's no error. Okay, now delete call, I will say to delete call right here. Okay, so you should say content type first. Content type will be media type dot JSON. Okay, that is the first thing. What else? I think that is enough. Next, for perform, then I'll do and expect, right? I'll do and expect, and I will expect first of all status. Okay, status to be equal to 204. Now what is 204? Is deleted maybe. Whoa. No content, I guess. Yes, So 204 comes under the is no content. Okay, so that is what we have to expect now. Let me make sure that the expected status is 204, and then we will do and expect the body's JSON to have the ID as whatever we passed in. Okay, so I forgot the syntax of that. Okay, so and expect JSON path. Okay, then dollar dot id, okay, dot value as this create a task dot get id dot get id. Okay, so let's check that. So I am just checking two items here. Okay, so I am making sure that the status is 204. Okay, I'll write it here, 204, and the id is equal to whatever is the created one is. Okay, I hope this works. Let's see. Run as JUnit test. Yes, it worked. Super. Okay, just for completeness sake, let's print the ID and see. Okay, and let's say sysout going to delete task with ID. Okay, and let's print the ID, task dot get ID. Okay, what else? I wanted to also write the status code here where we wrote created, right? So created is 201. Okay, so I'll just write it here so that you guys can refer it later. Okay, so let me rerun the test case. Okay, so going to, right, so it said going to delete task with ID 1. Okay, so it was the first element, was first task in the DB, so it got the ID as 1. Okay, beautiful. Delete is done. What will we write next? So next we will write test find by ID. Okay, let's try that. Let me write so let me write this. Oops. So here I wrote 3 steps right in the beginning. Build a task. Yeah, Aish Kumar, nice stuff. Thank you. Okay, so in here I wrote 3 items here, right? Build a task object, delete the task object, and expect a 204. So delete I called here, but expect status is over here. Okay, so I'm just putting the comments in the right place. Okay, now let's do find by ID. So I'll do test. Okay, test find by ID. Fine. So here also let's plan it. First we will create a task, then get its ID, and then find by ID, and then we'll do like match its title. Okay, first we have to actually match its ID, then we'll match its title. Okay, we'll do 2 test cases. Fine. So create a task. How are we going to do the same thing here? Okay, this also, this is not build a task object, we are actually creating a task. Okay, I'll paste it here. So create a task will be this, and then get its ID. Okay, so create a task dot get ID. It's a long, I guess. Okay, so ID of the created task is this. Then you do find by ID. Okay, so how to do that? MockMvc dot perform. Okay, so find by ID is what method now? Go to your controller, and here you will have get task by ID, right? Okay, so get task by ID is the find by ID, right? So let's call that, and it returns it first of all is a get mapping. Okay, so make sure you make a get call, and it returns a task DTO. Okay, so let's do that. Get call. So get, and then you are going to call /API / tasks, and then you are going to call / and then ID. Okay, let me just make sure I did it correct. Okay, /API / tasks / ID. We are going to get that. Okay, so next for the get function, we have to make sure that the content type is application JSON. Okay, I keep mispronouncing it. Dot JSON. Okay, so once we make sure that the request goes with application JSON, then what we do, we set the whole perform operations status code. Okay, so status code, we will make sure it is 200. So this is the first time we are going to and expect, right? And expect status, okay, is 200. Actually it's success, I guess. Is success, no, okay, I guess. Is okay. So okay is the 200. Okay, so yeah, okay is 200. So we are expecting the status code to be 200. Okay, so let me write it here, 200. And then we did find by ID, then we have to match its ID, right? Let's do that next. So for matching the ID, we do and expect JSON path of $.id .value is we'll just check the created tasks ID. Okay, created, or we have ID already extracted here, right? We can match it with that. Okay, .id. Okay, so with that we did match ID. Then let's do match title also. Okay, so for matching title, we do dot and expect JSON path $.title .value is created tasks value. Yes, sorry, created task title. Okay, fine. So Jatin Chatole says hi. Hi Jatin, welcome to the stream. Okay, so now match its title. So we did title matching also, fine. So whatever plan we had for this test is done. Let's run this test case and it should hopefully work. Okay, yes, it worked. Okay, so along with test find by ID success case, let's do a failure case also. Okay, so let's say we look for an ID and it is not there in the DB. Okay, so it should fail, right? So if you see here, if it fails, it is supposed to give a 404. Okay, so that is what we are going to check. Okay, so I'll write two test cases here. I'll call this as success. Okay, and I'll write one more test case called failure. Okay, ID fail. So for fail, what I'll do is I don't need to create a task and all. I'll simply look by a random ID. Okay, so I'll just do MockMvc.perform and then get, and then the get API's endpoint, right, /API/tasks, and then I will look for some random arbitrary API and ID. Okay, arbitrary ID. Okay, so to that I will pass the content type as same thing, media type dot JSON. Okay, this is always needed. And then and then dot and expect status to be 404. Okay, so that is going to be not found, right? So you see is not found gives you 400. Okay, so is not found gives you 404. Okay, this is all we need to check. So we give some random ID and make sure that it is 404. Okay, so I'll put this in second line. Okay, let's run this test case and okay, as expected. So the test case passed. Okay, the test case passed, but the actual API failed because it got 404. So we are expecting it to fail and it failed. So it's like task failed successfully. Okay, let's do one more API and call it a day. Okay, so let's write, what shall we write next? Update status. I'm interested in updating the status. Okay, so in controller there will be an update status right? So you see here patch mapping and update status, right? So we will create a new task and update its status to like done or something, and let's see if that works. Okay, we'll write a test case for that. Okay, there is some chat. Vinith Sargam, hi Vinith, welcome to the chat. Can you take one JavaScript class? I want to learn JavaScript. I am not very comfortable with JavaScript per se. I'm like a Java developer, but if you keep following this series, right, I'll be actually doing React.js, in which JavaScript will be there. So after developing this backend code, I will be deploying it into a React.js application, and then deploying it into cloud also. So a full stack application which we are going to deploy into the cloud. So if you keep following this series of videos, you can learn some of that also. Okay, so I'll be giving JavaScript tips and all there as well. Okay, so Jatin says, it's my first time in this stream. I'm also a fellow Java full stack developer. I have just completed my JDBC hybrid. So can you give some guidance about what to do next? Okay, so I would suggest you start doing projects, because that is how I learn. Actually, I am kind of learning how to do a Spring Boot project and end-to-end project myself. That is why I'm doing this stream. While I'm learning with you guys as well. So that is my motto so far, and that has helped me. I have learned like a lot of languages just by doing projects. Pick some basic projects. It could be anything like this to-do application, or you can build microservices based application with an Eureka server and all, with service discovery and things like that. We'll do that as the next course maybe, but always learn by doing is better, because you can keep watching videos, you can keep watching streams. That is not going to help unless you actually get into it and actually face errors and understand what the error is and things like that. Okay, so yeah, start with some project. If you want project suggestions, maybe I will build a list and post it somewhere. We do not have like Discord or something. I'll probably post it in this video's comment itself. Okay, in the main video, you can check it there. Wayne, thanks for the question. Wayne Sarkam, okay, thank you. Okay, so let's do update status. So we'll copy this. Okay, update task. Okay, test update task status. Okay, fine. So let's discuss the approach here. Okay, first I will create a task which will have to do as its status, right? It does. So if you see why it will be to do, because in my dummy sample task request, I am setting the status as to do. Okay, so it will be always to do only. Okay, so I'll create a task with to do as the status. Okay, then I'll just call the update logic, update API, and set the status to done. Okay, and then I'll just check if the status in the response is done. Okay, so we'll just do this is a 3-step. Okay, Jatin says, yeah, I have done one project which is NASA API implementations and now doing plant health web application. Interesting, nice. Keep going doing that, and try to not just stop with doing it in your own laptop and end it there. Try to deploy it somewhere, because that is when you will understand what is a load balancer, what is a gateway, what is a public IP, how to host your website on the internet, all that things, right? So keep trying that. Soon you will become an expert. Okay, fine. So test updates task status. So we'll create a task. We have this boilerplate here. I'll copy it. Okay, we created a task. Then call the update API and set the status to done. Okay, so let's do MockMvc.perform. So to update task, what is the method? So it's the patch call. Okay, so I'll call the same thing here, patch. Okay, and then what is the API next? It's /API/tasks. Okay, I hope that is correct. Yeah, /API/tasks ID and status. Okay, so next is /ID will be this thing. Okay, so I'll just get it here. long id equals create a task dot get id. Okay, so this id I'll pass, and then it says oops, and it says slash status. Okay, let me put a semicolon. Okay, just making sure everything is fine. Okay, so it is slash api slash star slash id slash status. Okay, slash api slash star slash id slash status. Fine. Okay, we have made the patch call. We have to also set the content type. Never forget that content type is media type dot json. Okay. Okay, what is next? We have to make write the body, content body, right? So in the content body, what are we actually setting? This one. So there is this task request which we are setting, and in the request we are setting the status as whatever status we want, right? So let's do that. So how do we set a content body? It was somewhere in the create, right? So there is content.objectMapper dot write value string. Okay, so let's create a request object. Where is our update? Okay, so let's create a request object with just the status set to done. Okay, so I'll just say what was the object? This one, task request. Okay, task request request for done status, okay, equals new task request. Okay, and then I will set the set status to status dot done. Okay, okay, and this step is for setting, you know, or like building a dummy request with status as done. Okay, so the whole point of this dummy request is, if you see in the controller, actually in this request we are not fetching anything other than the status, right? So what I'm doing is I'm creating a new request object and just setting the status as done. Okay, this will be passed to our actual request. Okay, so I have to see that again because I can't memorize. I'll copy this and I'll put it here. Okay, where is it? Right, so after perform, this one. Okay, and instead of, oops, I wrote it in the wrong function. After perform patch, right here, and the request object is this request for done status. Okay, so now I made, I'm making a patch request with just status as done. Okay, you can even set the other items also, doesn't matter, because in our function only status is taken. Okay, I hope that is pretty clear. Now next, what do? We do dot and expect. Okay, and we'll expect status first of all to be, I don't know what is the status code here. Oh, status code is okay only. Okay, which means 200. So we have to make sure it is okay. Okay, so we check the status code is 200. Next, what we do? This part, check if the status in the response is done. Okay, so we status as in this status is the status of the task, not of the request. Okay, so and expect, oops, there's a semicolon here. Okay, and expect this one, right? JSON. Okay, $.status dot value. I wrote it wrong. What should I write? JSON path, sorry, JSON path. Okay, dot value is done. Okay, so with that, I'm checking whether the status code is 200, and I'm also checking if the status is actually done. Okay, let's test it. Oops, let's test it by running this. Okay, and it passed. Okay, test update task status also passed. Fine. Okay, so with that we are done with update task status. Okay, so anything else? Let's just make sure that the actual ID matches. Okay, match the response ID with request ID, just to make sure that we are not updating some other status. Okay, so I'll match the dot ID to ID. Okay, oops, ID. We'll simply run this also. And it passed. Fine. Okay, so I'll commit this code and update the GitHub page. So I hope you guys are following the GitHub page. This GitHub page link is also there in the video description. It's 1ship.7/task tracker project. You guys can pick it up from there. Okay, so I'll push the code here and update the part 5 video link here in the table as well. You guys can go ahead and check it out, and meanwhile, while I'm doing this, if you guys have questions, just let me know. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so I hope there's no more questions. So thank you guys for joining today. See you guys tomorrow around the same time, and we'll continue with the remaining test cases. And probably tomorrow we'll finish all the JUnits and we will look at the global error and handle and validation. Okay, so Jatin asks, sir, can you give me some tips for interview? So interview is actually like a whole another picture. You have to probably start with learning lead code and stuff like that, and lead code will again still give you only idea about programming, like data structure and algorithms. Then you have to also prepare languages. For example, Java might have some capabilities, right? Like how the Java stream threading API is there, its collection API is there. These things are usually not covered in lead code problems, because lead code problems apply to any language. So it won't have things specific to Java, for example, if you are choosing Java as your primary language, right? So you have to cover that also, and keep practicing. That is the more important thing. If you are, whether you're attending interviews or whether you are not attending interviews, you haven't got a job, don't stop practicing, keep practicing, because only then you can stay up to date. Okay, so it won't be like you're studying for interview. It's like you just keep yourself updated, and when the interview comes, you'll be ready. Okay, and sir, where can I learn theory part? theory part, again, if you go to ChatGPT and maybe ask like, I'm preparing for a Java interview, give me the topics to study. Okay, so it will give you the topics to study for Java. Okay, let me try that. Give me Java topics to study for interview. Okay, it will give you like a schedule or something with all the items that you want. Then you are supposed to pick them and do them one by one. For example, it says here oops concepts, right? Then you have to probably watch videos, or you can ask ChatGPT itself. Okay, so what I would do is I would ask like, give me 5 problems in oops concepts using which I can learn Java oops, right? So you will also learn how to programmatically implement it, and the theory part also will automatically go into your mind. So if you see, we did a series on what do you say, this in courses. If you see, we did a series on multi-threading, and where is it, we did one more on streams, right? So there's a Java streams playlist, Java multi-threading playlist, right? So this is where we studied streams. So how did we study streams? That's actually theory. Streams and multi-threading is theory. How we studied is we picked problems and we solved them. Okay, you can, if you go to that courses also, there will be GitHub pages. You can simply take that GitHub URL. Okay, for example, for stream there will be a stream problems, right? So this is what we did in the streaming playlist. Go here, simply clone this code. Okay, there will be 5 levels of problems. Okay, where is it? Main Java. See this L1, L2, L5, 5 levels of problem. Do them one by one. By the time you finish L5, right, you will be like a streams expert. So you will be knowing Java streams. So that is how you can learn theory also. So because when you go to an interview, they won't be asking, I mean, probably they'll be asking definition also, but then if you already know how it works, then you can also implement it in your code, and they'll be more impressed when you use things like, let's say, streams and like functional programming than using normal for loops and things like that, right? So yeah, that is that. I hope I answered your question. Maybe I deviated a while. So this is where, yeah, see, it's like neatly listing all the things that you have to study. Then you have to figure out a way to study. You can even ask ChatGPT, give me some list of problems. Thank you, sir. On what time the stream will start? So tomorrow I'll probably start by 8 p.m. If I come back from office early, okay? If not, by 9 or 10 p.m. I'll start, okay? So I'll schedule a stream ahead of time. Just subscribe and hit the bell. You will get the notification whenever I schedule a stream, okay? Okay, so thank you. Thank you for joining. Thanks for the questions, Jatin. Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Good night. It's already getting late. Okay, bye.